week filled with political chaos and conflict. The past few days, no doubt, testing the Republican agenda. Keep in mind, it was supposed to be what the administration dubbed American Heroes Week. Instead, the White House faced pushback over the president's decision to ban transgender military personnel. The week also included a failed effort by Republicans to repeal and replace Obamacare. And did we mention incoming communications director Anthony Scaramucci? He trashed his colleagues during an expletive and vulgar interview. And now the latest White House staff shakeup with Reince Priebus out and John Kelly in as the new chief of staff. A lot to talk about. Let's bring back now Andre Bauer and Michael Nutter. All right, welcome back, gentlemen. So let's start with the latest staffing shakeup. President Trump promising to drain the swamp. The latest example, the firing of Reince Priebus, and now John Kelly being brought in. So this restart, Andre, does this exemplify draining the swamp?
I don't know that it exemplifies draining the swamp, and I didn't mean that as far as, taking everybody out. I think you've got to have some folks that have institutional knowledge from within Washington to help the process. But I think there are certain positions where to get the full results that the president, look, the president shot for the moon. He is wanting to change so much that's gone on for so many years that people didn't want to address or quite frankly haven't. And when you're tackling the enormous issues that he is to make America what it once was, and that was the beacon of the world, where everybody else wanted to be like, that's a lot of big things. And if you, whatever barometer you want to use, a reduction in illegal immigration, the stock market, record job numbers, the numbers are changing, and America is drastically getting better in a very short period of time. But we can do more, and the president expects more.
And so, Michael, can this president promote change without the use of Washington insiders, whether you call them, members of the swamp or not? I mean, can you get business done without that Washington know-how?
Well, first of all, the first thing that needs to change is Donald Trump. And until he changes, most of his agenda is not going to get done, notwithstanding the fact that Republicans have the White House, the House of Representatives, and the Senate, and still can't get out of their own way on a signature issue that they've talked about, but had nothing to show for the last 7 years.
And why
I think Mr. Trump forgot that if you're going to drain the swamp, you got to put that water somewhere, and apparently it ended up right in the White House water fountain. And so he has no idea what he's doing. We've withdrawn from the world, and many of our best allies now have come to say that we can't rely on the United States of America. And so, that is not leadership. So this shakeup, the sixth person gone, high-level person in 6 months, the new communications director who apparently has difficulty communicating and doesn't know that if you call a reporter up and talk to them, it's probably going to be on the record, and has totally trashed two top colleagues within his first week. That is not exactly an auspicious start. So you do need the mechanics, the establishment, the people who actually know something about government, since Mr. Trump never served in government and has no idea what it's like to run a government. It's not your real estate private firm. And so you do need some of those players with inside experience, outside experience. You put together a team. I'll go back to Andre's analogy earlier. What you have here is a team of football players who don't know each other, don't like each other, and everyone's off in their own direction, notwithstanding what play gets called in the huddle. That's not a team. That's a pickup game that's not going very well.
So Andre, CNN's Chris Cillizza writes this, the truth is that this is a president who creates chaos in and around him. He acts and then watches the wildness that ensues. The plan seemingly is that there is no plan. Do you agree with that? Is there a plan?
Absolutely not. I mean, look, our allies that are complaining because we're not giving them the money we were before. We've said, hey, we're going to retire this debt. We're going to get our financial house back in order. And that's responsibility. That may offend people, but it doesn't offend me because I'm tired of paying for the world's every problem they have instead of them paying their fair share. And that's what most Americans want. So the results are happening, whether the Democrats want to acknowledge it or not. And quite frankly, some of the moderate Republicans that have called themselves Republicans only because they could get elected in their district, I think 2020 is going to be very exciting thing, which Mayor Nutter talked about, because you're going to see some Republicans get moved out that haven't really acted like Republicans for a long time. And it happened in our state house, and it's continuing to happen. And the Democrats better come up with a better message than just being obstructionists, or they're going to be a defunct party altogether. They're going to meet in more and more counties in a phone booth instead of having a party whatsoever, because they keep trying to block anything and saying, instead of saying, here's what we think we ought to do to replace Obamacare, work with us and we'll vote with you, and trying to find some common ground, which is how I got stuff done when I was in the legislature.
Okay, except Andre, Republicans have the majority in both houses and the White House, so the argument of obstructionist is really difficult for people to see. And case in point, this past week with this health care and the dramatic ending of health care, Republicans mostly failing to repeal Obamacare, with that dramatic no coming from John McCain, no less. So is this going to be the impetus now for a more bipartisan effort to try to salvage the existing Affordable Care Act? Michael?
It should be, and it should have been from the start. You know, when you look at what's going on either in the Trump White House or with the Republican Party, it's reminiscent of that great high school classic, The Lord of the Flies. And they are spending so much time fighting amongst themselves and stabbing each other in the throat that they can't get anything done. So my hope is, and if they really took to heart what John McCain said and did, that an era of bipartisanship should come over both the House and the Senate. The American people actually do want us to get some things done. And Democrats recognize, and President Obama would be the first to say, because he had to compromise, that there are some elements of the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, that can and should be fixed. What has happened here has become so politically toxic that the parties are not even talking with each other, trying to lay out a set of principles. It could be 5 things, it could be 10 things that they probably actually could agree upon, like lowering premiums, making sure that pre-existing conditions are covered, et cetera, et cetera. And so maybe as a result of this past disastrous week under Republican leadership, Democrats and Republicans will start working on behalf of all of the American people, not just the 30% support base that Mr. Trump has.
So, Andre, real quick, do you see McCain's message as resonating in the halls of Congress or even the White House?
No, with all due respect to my friend Mr. Nutter, not one Democrat voted the other way. They're obstructionists. They're not confirming even ambassadorships. We have ambassadorship posts.
Not one Republican voted for the Affordable Care Act. Get out of here.
Yeah, and look at the failure it is, and the continuing not addressing it means that Americans are going to be without health care instead of the Democrats working with them to say, hey, let's get something done. They'd rather say, let's do nothing and leave people without any type of care at all, which, quite frankly, it should be free market, and the government should have not gotten involved in it in the first place.
And look here, this is a new message coming from the president, tweeting this after 7 years of talking repeal and replace. The people of our great country are still being forced to live with imploding Obamacare. So maybe that's the answer to my question about whether John McCain's message has resonated on the halls of Capitol Hill or even the White House. Okay, message received. All right, Andre Bauer, Michael Nutter, appreciate it. Thanks so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, health care will be a hot topic on tomorrow's State of the Union. Jake Tapper talks with Senators Susan Collins and Bernie Sanders. State of the Union airs 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow on CNN, and we'll be right back.